There is a large bird, almost removable. And what's interesting about this art is there are removable sections. So as a matter of fact, let's pull it off now. Here we have a fresh bird effigy pulled off of the main effigy set. And you guys can see how the beak and the crest is done with the stone that's left inside of the eye there. And the way the tail is represented, I'll put them up in the air so that you guys can see. And with these, when you put them up in the air, a lot of times you will call other birds. So the other side as well, which hasn't been seen since the people made it. So I'm sure they're very happy that it's being seen now. This is a separate effigy that is put on to this main effigy. And with the separate one gone, we might be able to see how the other bird is coming out here reflected. Oh my gosh, guys. If I sound like I am in awe, it's because I am. It's because I am. So, give you guys a quick look at that face so that you guys can see its figure there and upside down and in different ways. Actually, on this side, there's birds all over it as well. So we can see how the beak is right here, loose in the eye of the bird. That's represented all the way down. We'll see that repeated over and over again on different sections of the stone, or the wood in this case. Now, there are mammoths represented, and that is what we are seeing here. We can see how the eye and the trunk of the mammoth with the first foot is put here. So this is the whole body, this is the butt of the mammoth. And the whole thing as well resembles a trunk of a mammoth. Might be a little tough to make it out. Let's take a look at some of this stuff here. So we do have some human silhouettes here on the ends. Let's go ahead and move this just a little bit so you guys can see some more. Now just underneath on this section here, we see how this hook is done. We can see that there is another bird portrayed as if the back of the bird is, it's like it's sitting on a tree. Here we have our duck head that we were able to wash off. It almost looked better with the clay pack on it. But inside of this, we'll also see carvings of birds. You can see how the eye is done, and this piece is just part of the clay pack. So part of the art is clay, and it is baked on. So we'll go ahead and remove that for now so that you guys can see the bird's face and then the body of the bird and the tail of it. And you'll notice how they did the wood here. So they made it into a full bird, as you can see, pointing to the left-hand side. This little blotch being the eye, right? It's almost a bird that you could ride. It's big enough for it. But we also have the large bird here portrayed. Then we have a smaller one with the beak here. We have another duck head here, stacked on with its eye. You guys can see these bird heads portrayed. And just to look at the bottom of the duck, of the goose, you can see how it's all charred and burnt. I can't really flip it over because of the mohawk, but he does stand up very easily. So you guys can see him here represented, interpret, the different things that you see. Try to kind of clue in here a little bit. You can see how this might represent an eye, and that stick was just fitting perfect, right, for a beak. So you can see how the tail and the eye and then the beak sticks out with the ruffles for the hair, right? just play pretend here for a minute. That's what this art is about. It's about making art out of natural things, and you have to kind of have an open mind, I guess, a little bit about it. It seems that way because you can see the way the beak is curved for this bird here. For some people, it's very difficult for them to see it, so you guys can see it though, and that's really awesome. And, you know, we've taken a look at a few of these, just as simple as this, just as simple as an eye and a mouth and a headband. You know, these characters are portrayed. It's not too, like, technical, but this is a brand new effigy, and it is a charred, of course you can see, charred piece of wood, which has mammoths on the right hand side and humans on the left. You might be able to see the clay pack. So we see this outside silhouette, of course, but then interior we have a clay pack inside of the eye for that one. This is a wooden sculpture, so it's going to have several different things on it, but it was just recently washed off, and I think it's really beautiful to see the art in the wood, just like we might see it in the stones. And this is a really nice, how you can see the portrait here, and then you turn it away. And that little clay section in there, that little white section, perhaps will come out. You can see our fella here, carved into the wood. Look at his eye, wow. This is the first time I've looked at this one, but it's a beautiful one. Even in these fungus sections, when I say they were masters of nature, it's not exaggerating. They were truly masters of nature. So we can see the hole for the eye right there, and then the nose poking out. And as we tilt it, more and more will come out. You can see the bird on top there. We see just a little face in there with a red eye. And you can see the way they did the fungus, or at least did the tree. Very crafty people. Let's go ahead and try to find the bird for this one. We see the human silhouette here. There's our bird here. Oh! Facing to the left. We poke him up like this, perhaps. I'm not seeing him super well. Let me know if you guys are. I am seeing these faces, though. Super cool. Thanks for hanging out while we do this. As you guys can see, there's still a lot of clay pack in this face, but they made the eyes very dense with their clay. And you can see the way they folded all these sticks over top of each other. There's a lot to be seen here. There's a lot more than what meets the eye initially. So, super neat. And just quickly, we can see how these are just as simple as they are. That's what they are. They're bird totems. And this one's very dirty. I've cleaned off quite a few of them, though, so we can take a look. One of the ways that you want to find them is burnt or charred. So if they're not burnt or charred, you might want to take another look. This one is, of course. And they really left some funny inclusions in there for eyes. But I think we might have a fish or a bird and a few different things on this one. Just the way that they put the beaks. So you'll have a beak pointing up and then this open beak as well. Take a look at it here. As we turn it around in different directions. There'll also be animomorphic characters. So not just humans. Look at the way they did this. It's so, I mean, I feel ridiculous sometimes just looking at these trees and these pieces of wood. I'm like, what? Are you serious? But then I realize the reason why they're shaped like this is because they're mammoth heads. This is another wooden mammoth, you guys can see, and it has its mouth below. A lot of times mammoths are in groups, so it could be a couple mammoth. But these type of post things I've always seen at archaeological sites when I have visited. What else can I show you guys? Let's take a look at this little one here. This is another one that we just washed off today, and I haven't interpreted it yet. It has a hole in the top of it. We can see perhaps some figures coming out. It's a little bit different than the stone art, but the same amount of detail is actually put into it if we look for it. It's been hard for me to see it, but once I look at it a little closer, I can see how these eyes, these noses, and these mouths are done. Like, what? I would never have looked at wood with that amount of detail before. And this one again is, you know, it's two pieces, so it does have a bird separated. More than likely this bird is removable and we could take it off, just like the other ones here. So I don't know, to me the wooden artifacts are much easier to see. I can recognize them a little better, and I think they're a great representation of the art, but you guys might need to let me know what you think, because a lot of people don't get them, and for me it took me a while to get them as well. But after you guys see this, perhaps you guys can get them too. They're worth it. They're definitely worth it. Alright guys, I guess we'll just end on this one here that we put in. It's been a really good video, and you know, it's really interesting to see how this stuff works. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while we explore this together and do all this work, because it's a bit. So really appreciate the kind comments. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.